Welcome to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson. It's a topic that I'm going to jump into right quick here. I want to talk about uh, this past weekend. There was a lot of talk about the quarterback play in college football. The top quarterbacks possibly coming out. You talking about Josh Rosen. You talking about and Sam Darnold. Also, a little bit of talk about Baker Mayfield and what he's done over there at Oklahoma and the gesture and all the controversy going on with what he did over in Kansas with grabbing his crotch and all that other type of stuff that went on and stuff like that. I don't really worry about things like that because really at the end of the day, they're not going to do anything to Baker Mayfield. Will that hurt him for the Heisman? Really, who cares about the Heisman? Like I said, it's a college award and it is what it is. But the funny thing that I find real funny when you talk about Josh Rosen and Sam Darnold, these are the major quarterbacks. Is like they're the more traditional type quarterbacks that's coming out. What's the lack of disrespect that I see is coming up? Why the disrespect to Lamar Jackson? Here you got Lamar Jackson, second year full time starter at Louisville. He won the Heisman last year, over 3,000 and some odd yards uh, passing, and over 3,000 and over 1,500 yards rushing, and he accumulated 50 touchdowns. Okay. And then this year here, I think they finished with maybe a 9-5 record or something like that last year. Then he comes into this year here. He's already the second quarterback ever to sit up there. Only the first quarterback ever to have back-to-back 3,000 yards passing and 1,000 yards rushing. He's at just about 40 touchdowns right now. Lamar Jackson's a good 6'3", 210, 212 pounds, and with at least 4.3 speed, blazing speed. They can try to act like that this guy does not exist in the Heisman Trophy, but I don't care about that. I'm talking about the next level. Like he can't be like he cannot play at the next level. Have you seen some of the atrocious quarterback play that's in the NFL right now? This man can help a team out. Just like they try to say Deshaun Watson can't do X, Y, and Z. That's a lie. If Deshaun Watson doesn't get hurt, Houston's probably going to get into the playoffs. Definitely similar type of quarterback with somebody's more has just more speed. Lamar Jackson is trying to hone his craft in the pocket and becoming more of a pocket passer, but his feet, because when you go to the next level, they can talk all that stuff all they want. When you go to the next level, you have to make plays. You can no longer. I'm gonna tell you what I saw. I saw the other night Jay Cutler against the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was like 3rd and 4. He stepped up in the pocket, had thought maybe had a receiver. He could have easily ran 15 yards for a first down. Instead, he throws the ball and literally throws the ball behind the receiver. 4th down, punt the ball. Those days have to go. They have literally changed it to have a dual threat type of quarterback nowadays in the NFL. And I'm gonna do a thing on that, how NFL literally is turning into college football, where they used to talk about the option and all that, and you can't do this and you can't do that. Now that stuff has seeped its way into pro football, and these guys, they're going to need these dual threat quarterbacks. Thanks to people like be it Cam Newton, or even going back, who I thought was the most dynamic quarterback coming out of college, was Vince Young. Just that he didn't put in the work that he needed to put in. And these guys they act like they don't want to talk about him. You had uh what's the guy's name? Bill Polian, and talk about Lamar Jackson to be a good wide receiver. It's funny, I don't ever hear them say that about Sam Darnold. I don't hear them say that about Josh Rosen. I'm like, these guys are good quarterback. I say, if you take Lamar Jackson, put him on the USC team with all that talent around there, it ain't nothing else to even talk about. There's nothing else to talk about. You follow? It's not like Lamar Jackson, Louisville. That's a basketball place. I don't care what anybody says. That's basketball. Decent football here and there. That's a basketball place. What kind of talent he's working with, and look at what he continues to do. So there's really that people can talk all that mess about that all he wants. Is like there's no reason why this man is not being mentioned. Why this man is not being mentioned for one of the top quarterbacks, to come into play. You talk about those guys playing over there and whatnot. Like what I'm saying is like all of these people want to act like this guy does not exist, like he's a fluke. No, it's not a fluke. Spread, all that stuff is infiltrated and got segregated or integrated, more or less. I should say, sorry, integrated into that of a professional football now. So you're going to have a stud to be able to do both. They called it RPO, run pass option. I remember at a point in time when I used to watch football, when option quarterbacks was you either was going to turn into a wide receiver or a defensive back. So most of you option quarterbacks were black quarterbacks, and they couldn't play at the next level because they said you're not going to be able to do that. Guess what? Look what happens in the NFL now. They do the RPO because of lack of the way defense is being taught now, because you can't hardly touch anybody. Defensive end had the quarterback, linebackers got dive man, and you have the option, have the cornerback would have pitch man. That's how it's played. RPO is the same type of concept, and they read off the end. But because the end really can't touch the quarterback, or quote unquote outside linebacker can't touch the quarterback because you used to pop them, now you can't touch them. These guys nowadays, because the way the defenses are set up, these guys can sit up and have a field day doing the RPO. And it's came into the end of the NFL, and these guys are running, and they still try to say, okay, you have that. But you think about a couple of times, you see certain quarterbacks, like I seen a Kirk Cousins or some guy like that try to run a RP, and they get a quick 6 or 7 yards. If that is Lamar Jackson, that's 15, 20, 30 yards off the break. The man got an arm, he can throw it, he can run it, and he's still a winner. They still can probably finish it with maybe 9 wins, which is not bad for that particular program. But to say that he can't play, like I said, Bill Polian said he'll be a good wide receiver. Why would he say that? You have more Nubian or black quarterbacks coming into the league. They're here to stay. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere. And you can try to act like these guys don't exist. These guys exist. These guys got rocket arms, and they in fleet of foot, and they running 4.3s and 4.4 40s on 6'3", 6'4 frames, and 220, 230 pounds. They're here to stay. You can still have to think of the old days. I mean, fine, you're gonna have them guys sit back there and pass or whatever. But when you have to make a play and get it, you're gonna have to be an agile type quarterback nowadays and whatnot. The only reason why a guy like Brady can still play or whatever, like, you can't touch the quarterback. You can't touch him. That defeats the whole purpose of your defense to sit up there, and because intimidation is out of the game nowadays. So you can't do anything. But to say that Lamar Jackson, and he's not even considered when these guys start talking about quarterbacks to play in the NFL, they mention these other guys, but they're not saying anything about a person in his career and what he's done. And if he doesn't get drafted in the first round, it's a problem. You got somebody like Tim Tebow went number 24, 25 back in 2011, I believe, back in 2011. I'm like, for what? I couldn't believe he even got drafted. But my point is that when you start talking about these types of quarterbacks here, I'm like, he's right up there with them. He can do the same exact thing them guys can do, even more, because he's far more athletic when all else fails. But he became a pocket passer this year, and he's already thrown for, like, I think, 23 touchdowns. But he's accounted for almost 40 touchdowns. Also, with this, you know what I'm saying? They talk about all them other quarterbacks. They just start talking about Baker Mayfield because they can't. They try to disown him. He just is a kind of a bigger version, a little bit more than Drew Brees. But they're just trying to, because he is setting records. He's doing this. The team is 9-1, and they're going to probably run away with the Big 12. So it's like, you know, and then all the controversy that went on during the game. But that's that dude's game, though. But to say that these other quarterbacks, and you're not even to mention Lamar Jackson, that's absurd. But that's what they still do. They, at the end of the day, it's still a stigma about black quarterbacks in the NFL. And Nick Wright said something on his show the other day that made me say, I said, you know what? That he has a great point there. Because you take Tyrod Taylor out, and he's been giving you some wins and some solid quarterback play. He has a bad outing, and then all of a sudden you bring in this quarterback, and all of a sudden this guy throws 5 picks in a quarter. He throws 5 picks in a quarter. The leash or the patience of a black quarterback is short. There's no way the RG3 is supposed to be sitting at home somewhere watching football. There's no way. You know what I'm saying? But you got some of the bum quarterbacks that they have out here. Not trying to make it a racial thing, but they make it a racial thing, because you're going to tell me all these bum quarterbacks making these big salaries, and you got people like RG3 sitting on, even down to Vince Young. I can name a ton of other quarterbacks. You know, and like I say, not trying to make it racial, but I'm like, come on, man. If you're trying to get some play, and we already know about the Colin Kaepernick thing, that's done. They're going to let him back in the league next year. They're going to sit up there, they call themselves teaching him a lesson. But to sit up there and tell me these other quarterbacks are better, that's BS. But going back to Lamar Jackson, too much disrespect with the young man. This man, he can play at the next level, at a high level. He is Michael Vick, but this time with a better head on his shoulder and just as fast and bigger. And they better watch out for him. I say, because I see him coming. I say, this man can play. He's dynamic, and he can play, and he's a likable dude. And I say, I think he can be a leader, and with the right tools and stuff like that, he'll be fine. They can sit up there and they act like Cam Newton and all them guys. I say, them guys are players. talk about their brashes or whatever. It's a different mindset when it comes to these guys nowadays. So so put this guy in the same conversation as you putting Sam Darnold, and they just threw Baker Mayfield just because of the career he's had. So people are going to look at it, but he's not really even in the conversation. Just these guys from over there from California. And please, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, the career based upon what? Look at what this guy's done. So, that's all I have to say about that. But like I said, check me out, subscribe to the page, Everything Football 62. Check me out at Twitter. Follow me at Twitter, Everything 62 on Twitter 62. And we probably be back a little later. I'm gonna do my little recap. All right, have a good one.